we can give you 3 ways to get yourself out of lockdown. Oh, you thought I meant in your country? No, I mean lockdown of your heart. Do you know how many people have been sitting around in lockdown? Whether it's the first, second, I don't even know where you are. But everyone's been sitting around waiting for things to get back to normal. And this is the opportunity you have of a lifetime. Now, I imagine for so many people, it probably feels crazy right now. You could maybe have kids running around your house because they can't go to school. You may have to work from home, and that's a completely different environment because suddenly you've got to figure out where your office is, how you manage having breakfast whilst also being on a Zoom call, whilst then having lunch at the same time, whilst also trying to go to the toilet, all in the same space, whilst also potentially having to deal with another partner. It might feel nuts, but there's so many things that you can do in this time. Just because you're at home and not at work doesn't mean you're stuck. Doesn't mean you have to wait for things to go back to the way they were. This might be a new world we're in, and so we want to give you opportunity to use your time to the best of your ability and get yourself out of lockdown. So number 1, do things you're passionate about. Do you realize that you're never potentially going to get the opportunity again in the same way to be off the hamster wheel of life, where you're just stuck between wake up, eat, go to work, come back home, watch some TV or Netflix, go to bed, and repeat the next day. You don't get to actually do what you want to, you just get stuck in this cycle. And now you've got the opportunity to actually stop and look after what you want to do. If you want to learn a new sport, learn a new skill, you have the opportunity now. If you wanted to start that business or start a new creative project, you have that opportunity. But you've got to use your time well. Now, it doesn't mean that the responsibilities of life have gone, but you can manage your time better, especially because you're at home now. You don't have to worry about moving to work or having to go switch between places. You're mostly at home. So just plan your time out and be able to use that time to actually start to invest in yourself. Is it scary? Yeah, it will be. Is it nerve-wracking? Absolutely. But is it worth you investing in you and trying something new? Absolutely. Because you would rather have tried and it never worked than for you to spend the rest of your life wondering what could have been. Number 2, exercise. Have you ever just sat around in the house all day and just felt constantly tired? Or have you found yourself surrounded by horrid thoughts? Exercise is a huge game changer in tackling that. For example, it's the feeling. Okay, it was fine. We'll cut from there. I think it's tough to imagine that how we're feeling is put down to a chemical reaction, but exercise helps produce chemical feelings that help us feel better. For example, it helps you produce positive feelings. It reduces how we perceive pain. It helps you regulate stress and anxiety. And it helps you replace feelings of depression. Essentially, it gives you happy thoughts. So if you're feeling stressed or anxious or depressed, go for a walk or go for a run. And you've got to take it away from, running isn't my style. This is about health, not about your preference. Exercise will help you feel better. And number 3, replan your future. See, in the game of basketball, they take timeouts regularly throughout the game so that the team can come off the court and plan a strategy based on their current events for the future of that game so that it can ensure that they will win. We need to start doing this on our lives. Essentially, we've been given the stop buzzer and we've been given a timeout, but we aren't intentionally planning. You've got to stop and take the moment to plan ahead based on the current events that are happening in your life, a strategy that will help you win in the future. I think a lot of us are really struggling at the moment because there's industries that we knew in its full totality that were thriving, but because of lockdown, suddenly things aren't happening the same way. And a lot of people are struggling because they were part of those industries, but there is a part that we have to accept that things may not go back to how we imagined for quite a while. But it doesn't mean that things are dead. It doesn't mean that your industry is gone. There's actually so many ways, especially in the world of technology that we live in now, that you can evolve with what's going on right now. See, there are so many theatre productions that are happening online. There are DJs who are streaming off Facebook and charging for their gigs. If you're a creative person, there's no reason why you have to stop and just despair in this moment. You just have to evolve and change with our current climate. And I believe you can do it. We know that this is going to be such a hard time for people, whether it's financially, whether it's because you're working from home, or whether it's because you're in an entirely new environment. But we encourage you, try and look at the better side of things. There is always a positive lining, even if it's really hard to see. but by you finding the best out of what you're going through, we know that you can win